The world is about to learn about Khazarian mafia crimes horrific beyond imagination. The Khazarian mafia have been torturing, murdering, and cannibalizing children on a horrific scale, and the world is about to find out as military tribunals begin. Some very disturbing images and testimonies sent by the New York Police Department and the CIA show that just how evil the Khazarian mafia really is. These people are beyond truth and reconciliation and do not deserve even a quick death. Let us start with the FBI statistic on missing children in the US, so that skeptics can prevent the sheer evil of these deeds from shutting their minds. In 2015, 442,000 juveniles went missing. Of this, 22,000 were not found. By comparison, in the same year in Japan, 70,971 children went missing, and close to 95% of these children were found. The prosecution of these criminals is set to finally start now that the U.S. military government backing President Donald Trump will secure a majority on the Supreme Court with the confirmation of Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Pentagon sources say Attorney General Jeff Sessions had already met with the real special prosecutor, U.S. Attorney John Huber in Utah, so that 57,000 indictments may be unsealed, the sources explain. The seating of Kavanaugh on Supreme Court should unleash declassification of official and other documents as well as military tribunals, the sources say. Furthermore, they add, the Senate unanimously approved a resolution calling for declassification of 11 September documents, so the stage is set to take down the Zionists and the deep state. Another aspect of starting the prosecution of these criminals is the ongoing U.S. and Russian military action against the raw state of Israel, the sources say. In particular, Russian electronic warfare is aimed not just to impose a no-fly zone over Israel, but to stop ICBMs and other missiles from being launched, rendering the Salmon option obsoleted and making the re-nuking the only feasible option. The Pentagon sources explain. In other words, Israel can no longer use nuclear blackmail to protect the Santanists in the U.S. Also, Vatican P2 confirmed that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is a Santanist mass murderer who needs to be either arrested or killed as soon as possible. The U.S. and Russia are also considering imposing a sea and land blockage on Israel to force that state to stop its criminal activities, they continue. The sources sent this photo with the explanation that even the White House has declared Red October. The Pentagon sources also said it appears that the cable may have lost a submarine or underwater base and retaliated by sending Ryzen to Secretary of Defense James Mattis and Naval Chief John Richardson. What the Pentagon sources were referring to was the destruction of a clean escape residence with entourage, including an underground bunker built to store the gold, according to CIA sources in Indonesia. This destruction is appearing in the news as a recent tsunami that hit Indonesia, which even experts quoted by the Washington Post note was not a straightforward event, said Adam Switzer, principal investigator at the Singapore-based Earth Observatory. This earthquake was beyond the bounds of a warning system available. Here, the real explanation, according to the CIA, the tsunami was not possible scientifically. That is, it was carefully done and then blame it on faulty technology and a weird fault sleeve angle. But that fault sleeve angle was weird because it wasn't natural. Communication system can be manipulated, that is, it failed to show the third tsunami. That the tsunami warning system has worked ever since they got it developed after the 2004 Christmas disasters. There are non-visible lasers that have no color in the visible spectrum. This goes beyond the directed energy weapons, in short, the DEW. Beyond DEW is non-visible laser. The Chinese military are smart, this cannot be detected. They took the DEW technology and made it better. This was the direct hit from the Chinese non-visible laser satellite weapon. It took out the Clinton escaped resident, the entourage living there, in the underground bunker. The CIA sources say that close to $500 million in cash was seized by special forces in the raid on that Clinton hideout before it was destroyed. The money was divided between a certain group of top-level white-hat Indonesian government officials, one of them being Vice President Zulkifli Kala, in Trump's inner circle, military included, the sources say. So now we know why the generals got ricin mailed to them. We have also been allowed to give our readers more information on one of our CIA sources. He was in charge of the agency clandestine services in Jakarta working out of U.S. Embassy from 1965 to 1985. When he was there, he told me there were only 20 American citizens permanently living in Jakarta. All of them work at the embassy under diplomatic cover. They told me, and this is a quote, "Our team escorted Bung Karno out of power and we installed Scortaro into power." And yes, his team as well as Langley headquarters and another alphabet agency were involved in assisting Suharto in the killing up to 1 million Indonesian Chinese that were labeled PKI. This was a well-planned takedown of all Suharto's so-called opposition. It was planned with the Australian government as well. They were heavily involved in this attempt to genocide. This was also about the time when Suharto handed control of Freeport to the agency. There is so much more to say, but enough for now. I asked the cowboy why he did this. His answer, "It was my job. I worked for the U.S. government. You did not ask questions back then. If you did, you disappeared." He did tell me that he personally was involved in sending 2 cargo ships of rice to Kalimantan, as they have no food, and the Dayaks and Malays were dying from starvation during this crisis, as all rice shipments from Jakarta would stop. And to add more, yes, he was close to Bush Senator Cato back in the day. He was part of the old guard. Not many left now. On the final note, our source, who is connected to the secret bases in Antarctica, got back to us to insist that something really weird was happening there, saying the quote below from last week was true. Antarctica is opening up a wormhole. Yes, there is an opening to other dimensions down there. Due to the extremely high magnetic shifts going on in and near Antarctica, it's literally tearing a new fabric in the dimensional field. This is the reason why all those government leaders went down there. This is why they shut off Antarctica to the public and so forth. The public only gets 5% of the story, and now you have the other side. This source noted that even reputable publications like Scientific American were reporting there is something mysterious coming up with the frozen ground in Antarctica, and it could break physics as we know it. We will try again to visit Antarctica this southern summer and report directly to our readers what is really going on there. If there really is an anomaly like a wormhole opening up there, the entire population of the planet should be told and shown proof, not just a few leaders. Vincenzo Mazzara, a calibrator of Teutonic Knights and a senior member of the Vatican P2 Freemason Lodge, says preparations are being made for humanity to start building a fleet of ark ships and expanding out into the universe. As usual, my reaction to this sort of stuff is to believe it when I see it. For now, the White Dragon Society is working towards getting multi-trillion-dollar funding for an Earth-based massive campaign to end poverty and stop environmental destruction.